All right, the identity breach you did not know you had. Google Workspace. All right, what's Google Workspace to you? Like when I say that phrase, what do you think of? Email, documents, calendars, chats. Basically, it's a productivity suite. And security teams have been looking at Google Workspace as such for years, except we've noticed over the past 2 years from our SOC analysts and our threat researchers that Google Workspace is increasingly being targeted by attackers. And attackers aren't regarding it simply as a productivity suite. They're regarding it as a new identity infrastructure to target, and they're doing more so than they ever have before. So it's really easy for most organizations to assume that we don't have a breach. Typical security thinking is there's no malware alerts, there's no endpoint alerts, no ransomware, no help desk tickets. What's the common assessment with that? It's that everything must be fine. But that's actually not the case. So there's been a shift from this old model to a new model world. And the old model, it required hackers to break in as opposed to logging in, and malware is key, exploits, endpoint compromise. But it's a little bit different because today's model is stolen credentials, session hijacking, OAuth abuse, MFA fatigue. This is the new reality that identity exists in. It's all about identity. And Gmail is the skeleton key to your SaaS stack. If you think about it, it is the clearinghouse to your entire organization, and Gmail is often seen as the root layer in your identity stack. And one compromised Google Workspace account can give access to a ton of different things: password resets, MFA verification emails, vendor communication, finance approvals, internal conversation, and OAuth permissions. So all it takes is access to one identity in one Gmail, one Google Workspace. And what trick are attackers using in this identity plane? Attackers are creating Gmail rules that delete security alerts, hide login warnings, archive replies to phishing emails, common BEC and account takeover tactics, that they're using Gmail to hide the narrative that is actually going on. And that narrative is hackers are in control and organizations are not. Now I'll pass it over to Rich.
You were supposed to throw it, and I was going to catch it with one hand.
Was it confident?
All right, so what does an actual attack look like in a Google Workspace environment? We're first going to see initial access, right? An account takeover, session hijacking, a token hijacking. The attacker actually gaining access to an identity in the Google Workspace environment. Next, we're going to see some sort of post-compromise activity. We call this shadow workflows, right? The attacker will create a malicious Google Workspace filter rule to filter out your emails about security alerts or invoices or, hey, you sent me this phishing email. Why? The attacker can create those filter rules in Google, just like in Microsoft, so that the legitimate person behind the identity has no idea that any malicious activity is occurring. And then finally, once the attacker is fully in the environment, has fully enumerated the identity, they're going to take some sort of final, action. Maybe they're going to use that identity to do mass outbound spam against other identities. Maybe they're going to change some account details on an invoice and steal tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is the real world impact that we see. And it's not just limited to Microsoft. It occurs all the time within Google environments as well. So just to recap what Erin was talking about, a lot of security tools today are looking at the endpoint. They're looking for anomalous network traffic. There aren't a ton of solutions out there purpose-built for Google Workspace to look at these login queries, to look for these malicious filter rules, malicious OAuth registrations in a Google Workspace environment. And what we've built here at Huntress is exactly that. We're taking everything that we've done with Microsoft for ITDR, and we have taken all of that knowledge, all the tradecraft that we see every day, and we are now applying that to Google Workspace. All of the unexpected, unwanted logins that you see, malicious inbox rules, the utilization of the mailbox against itself, malicious usage of data centers, right? Just because the attacker is able to log in from the United States, we're not seeing the threat actor log in from Nigeria or Russia anymore. They're logging in from New Jersey. All of these things we detect, just like we do in Microsoft, now in Google Workspace as well. And the power of the entire Huntress Managed ITDR product across Microsoft, Google. If you have Microsoft and Google hybrid environments, we're going to protect those and charge you once for it. And we are backed up by a 24/7 security operations center using AI assistance to filter out all of the noise. You are only going to get an alert from Huntress when it is truly malicious activity. And usually that alert is going to be, hey, we took care of this malicious activity on your behalf.